Lightning echoed across the soaked forest as a fox ran through the underbrush. The animal quickly hid beneath a fallen log. It took a moment to catch its breath before shaking off. As it was curling up to sleep, a beam quickly began to appear in the gloomy distance. The fox perked its head up as it watched the light sporadically move past behind some trees until it slowly disappeared back into the dark. He ran as fast as he could, moving around tree after tree before finally spotting his car. He entered the driver's seat and shut the door. Relief washed over him as he took one deep breath before taking off his glasses. He turned toward the drawer and opened it, revealing his phone inside. Thank God I didn't bring my phone with me. The screen slightly burned his eyes as he tapped on Life 360. He looked across the map for a while before sighing. He looked outside, watching the raindrops slowly drip down the window as lightning briefly lit up the sky. He looked back at his phone and exited Life 360 before tapping on photos. Swiping through the gallery, he tapped on one that caught his eye. The photo showed him clearly, sat next to a table, along with a woman sitting alongside him. She had a bright smile along with blue eyes and brown hair, similar to his. He continued to swipe through the gallery, pausing only to look at photos that included him and her. The last photo once again showed him and her sat next to a table. On the table though, there was a cake that had a frosting that spelled, "Happy 20th birthday, Green." He stared longingly at the photo, before exiting the app. He once again tapped on Life 360, double checking to see if there was something. There was something. His eyes quickly widened. It was starting to show her location. He casually whistled to himself as he walked through the camp. He pointed his flashlight towards a signpost that had two signs that were carved to resemble arrows. The top one pointed left, and the word "shed" was carved into it. He pulled the sleeves of his yellow raincoat to look at his watch. He let out a long, drawn-out whistle. Halfway done with my shift. Just 3 more hours left and I'll be done. He passed by the signs and began making his way left. This storm, he thought to himself. It's really coming down. It's amazing he could even hear himself whistle. Good thing I got this raincoat. It would be a shame if I didn't. He smiled at the thought. He finally made his way to the shed and to his shock one of the windows was shattered. He rushed towards the window and shined his flashlight inside. He saw a rock lying on the floor, with shattered glass around it. He pulled out the keys from his pocket and walked towards the shed door. It slowly groaned open as he turned on the light. He stared at the rock, then to the rack of buckets and paint, then to the stacks of plastic boxes, then finally to the shovels and brooms hanging on the wall. He let out a sigh before picking up the rock. Oh boy, Joe is not going to be happy about this. As he was reaching for his walkie-talkie, his eyes caught a shoe poking out behind the door. He stepped forward and pulled back the door to reveal a woman huddled against the wall. What the? Her blue eyes stared horrifically at him as she began scrambling to the corner of the shed. Whoa, hey lady, calm down. Close the door! He was taken back, but he turned and shut the door. He turned back to look at her, and it was then he noticed it. 2 large lacerations were made on the woman's left shoulder, both deeply cut into the flesh. He immediately crouched down and grabbed her shoulder. Hey, it's going to be alright. Just stay calm and sit there till paramedics arrive. He got up and pulled out his walkie-talkie. Hey, Josh, do you copy? Listen, I need you to call 911. There's a woman here in the shed who's... He paused. He turned around to face the shattered window. He tried to scream, but it was muffled by a high-pitched screech. The dirt squelched as he landed behind the fence. The light shined onto his face as he turned back to look at his humming car, before pulling out his flashlight and facing the woods in front of him. She gripped her shoulder tightly as she ran as fast as she could through the rain. The sky briefly lit up to reveal a cabin in front of her. Immediately she began running towards the cabin. As he ran through the path in front of him, he came across a fork in the path with a signpost that stood between the two. He let out a grunt as he stared between both paths. As she took one last step, she heard the door open downstairs. Panic immediately took her as she began running down the hall towards the nearest door she could see. His mouth hitched open as his chest moved up and down, getting more rapid as he continued to run down the path. Suddenly he slipped and fell into the wet earth beneath him. He grunted again for quickly getting up. Slamming the door open, she noticed the window in the room. Looking around, she saw a chair next to her. She quickly grabbed the chair and barricaded the door before running towards the window. As he fully got up, he noticed the cabin in front of him, and from out of one of the windows, he saw Both of them locked eyes with each other. As he stared at her, he couldn't help but slowly form a smile on his face. The sound of shattered wood took both of them from surprise. She turned around to look at something. When she looked back, her eyebrows were drawn together as if something worried her. Then she smiled. She smiled right back at him, with that same bright smile on her face, with a single tear slowly trickling down her cheek. The sky harshly lit up as a loud bang followed. When he opened his eyes, she wasn't at the window anymore. She was at ground level now, laying motionlessly on the wet dirt, with a blank expression on her face, as blood rushed out from her ripped neck. A horrendous scream came out of him as he rushed towards her body. He felt his knees as he grasped her head with trembling hands. He looked up to see it looking at him. Before jumping down from the window, he gripped her body tightly as he closed his eyes waiting for the inevitable. But nothing happened. He slowly opened his eyes to see it was gone. He looked around, but there was no sign of it anywhere. It was as if it wasn't really there. He looked down to look at her, the blood rushing down her neck so very much real. As multiple squelching footsteps slowly approached him, he gently closed her eyes with his thumb before pulling her head against his. As the police approached with their flashlights shined at him, they could hear him quietly sobbing to himself.